Alright guys, today I got a project mapping out my deed. So what you need to map your deed out is a few tools. You'll need some graphing paper like this here. These have, this graphing paper has, let's see, I think they're no, they're about 1/8 inch squares on them. And it doesn't matter too much how big the squares are. I like them smaller here, because basically what you're going to be doing is you can be lining up your protractor or compass on those lines so that you make sure you get your angles correct. So you're going to want to mark your paper north, south, east, west, and then you're going to want to look at your deed. Your deed may have meets and bounds. Meets and bounds are directions like this here. I'll show you an example. It says south 59 west, and then it says 59 poles to a fence post. That's meets and bounds. If you have there's different types of coordinates, maybe GPS, maybe degrees west, east, etc. But mine has the meets and bounds survey because it's probably been last time I surveyed it that it was in the 1800s or so. So each pole is a distance. Pole equals one pole equals 16.5 feet. Okay. Here's a place where you can go to get something similar to this, but it's going to be much more precise than this. It'll have every degree on there, where here I've got it marked every 10 degrees, so you kind of have to fudge it. This is going to give you the general shape. This ain't going to be super accurate. You know, it's not going to be as if a surveyor made up the map for you. It'll get you close though. It'll get you the general shape of your land and, you know, the spacing. So one pole equals 16.5 feet. And then if it says chains after the poles, there's 25 links in each pole. Okay, it's like 0.6 foot or something per link. So what you do is you get your protractor or your compass device, whatever you're using, and see here we got south 64, west 58 poles. So you take that, put it on the dot from your last measurement. This was my last measurement here. Gonna line it up on south 64 west. So try to get it on your grid exact, get it the exact angle you need it, and then you're gonna get that dot in the middle, and you're gonna want to look for south 64 west. See that line in the middle? That's where I drew my line. So then you're gonna want to come up with some kind of conversion measurement. What I'm using is 1 millimeter equals one pole. So I've got a ruler, and you can find better rulers than this that have the measurements that go all the way to the edge. That would get you more accurate. If the line goes all the way to the edge, or you can see mine, I kind of have to eyeball it. So as you had your protractor or whatever measuring device you're using to get your angles, then what I'm doing is I'm laying my ruler at the correct angle, getting it lined up, kind of holding it and pulling that out, and then I'm drawing my line. Like this one was, let's see, what was it, 58 poles. So I would line it, get that angle correct, and then put your measurement, 58 poles. in there. And you keep doing that as you go down your deed for each one of these measurements. You can make a list, like I have a list here. And I just go down the list and I check them off as I'm doing them. And then eventually you will have a map with the shape of your property. So this is a start of mine here. This is the north side. There's a highway that runs along here. This is a start. It'll tell you where to start. It'll just say this is a start, and it'll, you know, the first measurement is your start. And this will come around, eventually come up wherever it goes. It'll come right back to the same point. If everything you measured was properly, it'll come right back to the same point, and you'll have a picture of what your land looks like. Then you can come back if you want to do, depending on how accurate you get with this, you could technically, see here's one corner, here's another corner, and see I'm about ready to go north with this piece. And then you could come back and technically say, okay, how much land I have in between this point here and say another point over here. You can measure it, say, okay, I've got 70 millimeters, so 70 times 16.5, that'll give you your feet. I'm using metric because it's just easier to use those because it's in tens. And then you do your multiplication. You get your number in feet if you want to later. But this is a way to map it out. Get an idea what your land looks like on paper. You can go onto your local county GIS website. County GIS, whatever the name of your county is, and then put in GIS, and you can look up your parcel by your name, your parcel number, sometimes your address, but it's usually your name or your parcel number if you have that. And it'll show you it'll show you the same thing, what your parcel looks like. And once you draw it off your deed, because your deed is your legal description, what you actually own. The GIS is for tax purposes. Okay, so they'll have kind of a general drawing there. It may not be 100% accurate. It may be totally inaccurate. When you map this out, you can take it down there and say, look, this is more accurately described. Say it had only half as much land as you actually owned. You can kind of have them fix that image the way it's supposed to be, but you can't go off of that for a legal description. You have to go off your deed. Okay, guys? So, fun little project. You can probably finish this in a couple of hours and have a nice little paper representing what you own.